Uh, yeah.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Going for Two. I am Q1 Humphreys, and we're here. The NBA Finals kick off tomorrow. The New York Knicks taking on the San Antonio Spurs, a rematch of the NBA Cup Finals, which is actually insane to think about. The fact that we already got the Cup Finals, now the Finals have the same two teams. Insanity. In this video, we're going to talk about our preview. I'm going to give my thoughts on both teams and give my predictions for the NBA Finals. Before I dive into that, man, I want to say, man, shout out to everyone that's been watching all the content that I've been dropping. We've been dropping game recaps almost every single night of these playoffs. Experienced a lot of growth. We're going to keep going through the finals and to the offseason as well. We got a bunch of other sports. Football, free agency's going crazy. Different stuff is happening. If y'all want more sports content, man, please hit the subscribe button. We're going to roll to 500 subs. Let's get right into it. So I want to talk about the Eastern Conference champions first. They've been sitting on ready for the NBA Finals to start for over a week now after sweeping the Cleveland Cavaliers in 4 games. And the series before that, they got a sweep against the 76ers. I'm going to be honest, the New York Knicks looks like the hottest team in the NBA right now. And it changed. It changed so fast, the idea of the Knicks coming into the playoffs, because it was like, okay, the Knicks versus the Hawks. Okay, this is an interesting series. The Knicks should win, but they might lose. And they went down 2-1, and it was like, man, the Knicks are about to lose this series. They're frauds. Then they run off 3 straight in blowout fashion, get my Hawks up out of there. Then it's Philadelphia. They sweep, blow out Philadelphia, and then it's Cleveland. And after a very slow start to the game one, a very bad first 3 quarters, they've been dominant over the next, let me do my math, 13 quarters. Dominant. And now they're in the NBA Finals. Shout out to the Knicks. Shout out to the New Yorkers, man. The first time you're in the Finals since 1999. This is the first time they have a chance. They have the chance to win their first championship in over 50 years. Insanity, y'all. And they're doing it against a team that they've actually had success against in the regular season. But let's talk about what makes the Knicks successful. Their depth, y'all. And I'm not talking about the bench. I'm talking about their top 8, 9 guys are out there hooping. We know about Jalen Brunson. Brunson is a dog. Brunson is he's the captain. You know what you're gonna get game in and game out for Jalen Brunson. We saw it at times in the Cavs series, at times in the Hawks series, at times in the 76ers series. I think he's gonna have a good series against the San Antonio Spurs. And good is kind of relative because the Spurs defense is so good and they've been so good all playoffs long. But I think Jalen Brunson, as I said on the Sports Den podcast that I was on the other day, Jalen Brunson is more equipped to handle their defensive pressure. Because against the Spurs, you got to be able to shoot the 3-ball. If you are a ball handler, you've got to be able to shoot the 3-ball. You've got to want to shoot that 3-ball. That's why Anthony Edwards, I would say, had a good series. I'd say he had a good series to be on one leg, a good series against the Spurs. That's why Shai Gilgeous-Alexander struggled in that series because he wasn't coming off that pick. He wasn't in isolation trying to get a 3-point shot off. He was trying to get to the mid-range, and in the mid-range is right where the Spurs want you because that is closer to the basket and closer to Victor Wembanyama. So I'm looking at this series for Brunson. I think Brunson have a really good series or a way better series than SGA did. I also got to think about the foul count. I think there is a good possibility that he could get Stephon Castle in foul trouble. Now, Stephon did a good job not fouling against SGA, but I think Brunson's a little bit, not that he's better at drawing fouls because SGA has way more free throws, but I think the referee's going to see that bigger to smaller kind of position or size, the size discrepancy between the bigger guard and Castle and the smaller guard and Brunson. Brunson may be able to flop his way around to get to more fouls and get to more free throws. I think that's a good possibility. But on top of having Brunson, the rest of the Knicks are playing unheard of basketball, y'all. Unheard of basketball. They have a win margin of 20 points. 20 points going into the finals? That's something we have not heard of, y'all. And it's not just the Brunson show. It's everyone balling. You know what I'm saying? OG Anunoby's having the best playoff run of his career. Karl-Anthony Towns, he's become more versatile than I've ever seen him, whether it's being a hub, being a guy that's going to be a facilitator, Or is going to be a guy that we see him know, that we've seen him be over the course of his career and be what he claims to be the best shooting big man of all time? He can get the job done. You got Mikal Bridges, who Mikal Bridges has saved his career, y'all. I would say saved his career because now, offensively, he's balling. I think he has the longest streak for most games over 50% from the field. He looks really, really good. You got Josh Hart. Josh Hart has been the enforcer, I would say, of this Knicks team because when he switches the physicality level, then the whole team follows, and then this is a very tough team to beat. Very tough team to beat. And then Josh Hart even has the ability to knock down a bunch of threes. We saw in Game 2 against the Cavs, he knocked down 5 of them joints. 5 of them joints. He's gonna be big in this series. But you also got guys on the bench like Mitchell Robinson. We know Mitchell Robinson's impact. He got the broke pinky, but I think he'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? He's an offensive rebounder, a rim protector. He's going to do what he got to do. I'm not sure how much of Mitch we'd see against Wemby because I don't think that's a good matchup for him, but they could go double big against Wemby. They could go double big. I think that's a legit thing that they could do. You also got Landry Shamet. Landry Shamet has been one of the best players on the Knicks. And I don't mean as in like best player as in like he's one of the best players, but I mean as in like he comes in, he's a perfect role guy. He's great on defense, and of course he can knock down three ball. I think they said he only missed 14 3. I think he's 21 for 35 from 3-point range in the playoffs, but he's shooting really, really well from 3-point range in the playoffs. Jordan Clarkson, Deuce McBride, all these guys are playing really well when the bench have been big for the Knicks, and I think that's going to be big in this series as well. Because you look at what made the series with OKC close. OKC was able to outscore the Spurs with their second unit. And the Knicks have the personnel to do the same thing. They do. We just got to see if it happens. So, moving on to the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs coming out of a dogfight in the Western Conference Finals against the Oklahoma City Thunder. They look like they're ready. They have their star, Victor Wembanyama. I think he's the best player in the world. I'm not going to argue with you if you say it's somebody else because I think the best player in the world conversation is kind of very, very open right now. But I think he's the best player in the world. Defensively, he's the best defender we've ever seen. And offensively, if he's aggressive, there's nothing that really anybody can do. But the Knicks have really no answer for an aggressive Wembanyama. Because I'm thinking about it. Who's going to come into this? Who's gonna be the main assignment for Wembanyama? I don't see Karl-Anthony Towns having the job of guarding him for the entirety of the series or majority of the series because the Knicks need Karl-Anthony Towns on the floor. And if Karl-Anthony Towns defends Wemby, he's going to foul out. We know about Cat. Cat loves to get in foul trouble. And he's going to foul out if he's guarding Wembanyama. So I think we may see a bunch of different bodies on him. I think we'll see a good heavy mixture of an OG Anunoby, a Karl-Anthony Towns, a Mitchell Robinson. I even think Josh Hart they'll kind of do the same thing OKC did and kind of have Josh Hart kind of just be a speed bump and trying to get to the basket for Wembanyama. But there's no answer that the Knicks have. There's no answer that really nobody has for Victor. And I think if he plays the way he's supposed to play, then the Spurs should win this series. But another thing, too, the Spurs have those guards. And I think this may be a next factor for the Spurs, besides Wemby being aggressive. It's those guards. You have Steph Castle. You have De'Aaron Fox. You have Dylan Harper off the bench. Those guys have been instrumental in this playoff run. Steph Castle taking on the lead guard role at times, having just showing off his playmaking abilities over the course of the Thunder series. You got De'Aaron Fox being that veteran that is able to hit those timely shots when teams are going on runs, that is able to settle down and run the offense efficiently and effectively. Then you got Dylan Harper off the bench, who is your spark plug from the second unit. And he's doing a lot, going on the offensive glass, but also while being another scoring option for that second unit. So I think those three guys are going to be very big for this series. Mainly Steph Castle as well, because we talked about earlier, Steph Castle is probably going to be the main defender on Jalen Brunson. You know, I think Brunson's going to see a bunch of bodies like him, Vassell, Champagne. He may even see Champagne. I think the wings, because these guards are big guards. and they all can guard and they all can get to the basket. So the wings, as in everybody, not including Wembanyama, is very, very important because those are the bodies that Brunson's going to have to see, and those are the guys that are going to have to win their matchups against the OG Anunobys, the Mikal Bridges, the Josh Harts of the New York Knicks, and that will be crucial in them winning this series. Another thing, too, I think I want to see Luke Kornet have a good series. Now, the Kornet has been pretty bad over the course of the majority of the playoffs. And I'm not sure if it's so much Luke Kornet being bad or just how good Wemby is, because Anthony Edwards, I don't know if you saw the video, but Anthony Edwards said, man, when Wemby goes out of the game, it's like a breath of fresh air. And you can see that because when Wemby's out of the game, teams are driving to the basket. And it's not like Kornet's small. Kornet's a footer in his own, but having the defensive pressure of a Wembanyama and having that taken out the game, no matter who came in the game, they will be getting attacked because the court usually don't look like that. So I think if Kornet can have positive minutes, and I don't think he needs to play as much, but if he can have positive minutes when he's on the game as well, this series is going to shift in the favor of the Spurs. For sure. For sure. Now, I think it's also going to be a matchup between two coaches. Mitch Johnson, this is his first playoff run. This is his first finals run. And you got Mike Brown, who has been on contending teams, who's been on championship teams with the Warriors and the Cavs. So he's been here before. He knows what it takes. Mike Brown, I think the Knicks being here is just a major testament to Mike Brown because Mike Brown took pretty much the same as that roster that went to the conference finals last year and made it all the way to the finals. And I will say this, if Tom Thibodeau was still the coach, this team would not be in the finals. Because Mike Brown makes those adjustments. He makes those in-game, out-of-game adjustments. He does it all. His rotations are good. He's done a great job with this Knicks roster and has them looking like the potential that we felt like we could see coming into the season. And it's gonna be a chess match. A chess match between Mitch Johnson and Mike Brown. And Mitch Johnson, it's like wrestling. Mitch Johnson has Greg Popovich in his corner. He's got Greg Popovich, probably the best unofficial assistant coach of all time. Looking at this series, the Knicks and the Spurs faced off 3 times this season. The Knicks won the season series 2-1, one game being in the NBA Cup final where they won 124-113. Victor Wembanyama was on a minutes restriction at that time, so you can kind of give or take what you're thinking on that game. The other game, it was 134-132 Spurs win. Champagnie had 11 threes that game. Craziness. That was the 11-3 game for Champagnie. I remember it thinking back when I went back and looked at the different matchups. And the last game was a 114-89 win. A blowout win on Sunday afternoon by the New York Knicks. So one thing that I saw from the season series is that the Knicks dominated the glass. They dominated the glass against the Spurs. And I think it's because they have, those double big lineups with Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns. You also got Josh Hart, who is a great rebounder. And they just put immense pressure on the glass. They kept Wembanyama and the Spurs off the offensive glass, which I think is going to be a key to winning this series. And they also were able to create second chance opportunities for themselves on the offensive glass. So I think if they can do that again, they got a shot to make this a legit series. One thing I will say, I think a lot of people are writing off the Knicks just because the Spurs have looked so good and just because of the aura of them beating OKC. But the Knicks are a really good team. They're a really good team, and they're playing a really, really good basketball. I think the big thing at the opening of the series is going to be the rust versus rest factor because, yes, the Spurs just played Game 7 on Saturday night, and they're playing 4 days later in Game 1 of the finals. But I think the idea or the fact that they're playing and still in a rhythm is going to play a factor as well. I think they will at least start out hot. Now, that fatigue will definitely kick in we're going to see it in Game 1. That fatigue going to kick in whether they win or lose. We're going to see the fact that they're tired and they just got through this heavyweight fight against the OKC Thunder, while the Knicks haven't played in 8 days. And we saw in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals where they had sat for over a week and they came out flat, and it took them a little while to kind of get going into the game. And then once they got going and got into a rhythm, they were able to run away with the series. But I'm going to give my prediction, y'all. I'm going to go Spurs in 6 games. I'm going to go Spurs in 6 games because I believe that the Spurs just have more counters they can throw at the Knicks. They got more counters they can throw at the Knicks. I think the Knicks have a plethora of things that they can do to make life tough for the Spurs. I think Josh Hart's going to be very big in this series because that's going to be the guy that Wemby faces, that Wemby's going to be defending. That way he can, roam in the paint. So they got a bunch of opportunity. Hart can either knock down those shots or they can, use him as a DHO guy and create open looks for other shooters. Or they could pull out. They could pull out Josh Hart and run a smaller lineup with Landry Shamet, a guy that can hit a 3-point shot. We saw over the course of the series, OKC, that Wembanyama wants to help, and he's going to leave a lot of guys wide open because of his job, his responsibility of protecting that paint. If the Knicks are knock down shots at a high level, which they have in this playoff run, they can make this a series for sure. But I look at the Spurs. The Spurs have the ability to just make life tough for you. I mean, everybody they face has struggled offensively when they're healthy. They've struggled. And I think the Knicks are not going to play offensively as well as they played. This is the best team the Knicks have played over the course of their playoff run. This isn't the Hawks. This isn't the Sixers. This isn't the Cavs. This is the Spurs. And the Spurs just got through a team that we felt like could be going back-to-back with OKC despite them not having 2 starters. But I think I'm going to roll with the Knicks. I'm going to roll with the Spurs. I'm going to roll with the Spurs winning 6 games. It should be a really good series. We will be back on here tomorrow night with Game 1 recap. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button. All the socials, they are down below. Till next time, I'm going for 2. We out of here. Yeah.